Okay, we're recording. All right. So today I reached out to Audrey and Amy and asked if you guys had the ability to come together on a monthly basis like you had been coming together. And I was offering to come in because it's such a interesting time for pivoting. Even after we were in self-quarantine for almost 2 months, and now we're kind of going re-entering back in, and how we're feeling about that, right? So there's definitely changing going on a daily basis. Sheltering in place was really interesting to me, but it heightened so many different feelings, right? For me, it was of confusion, frustration, anxiety, right? The ability to pivot to what is needed at the time, like truly be able to navigate through this storm. So finding the new norm as we are re-entering is going to be really important. So today we're just going to go through a few tips of how we could hold on to what we loved about what was going on during pandemic, and learn how to not get attacked by all the re-entry and all these people and things that people want from us, right? And learning how to set those boundaries. Trying to find a norm. So I'm just going to go through some things this morning on how to do this, okay, and how to handle it and how to get started through the process. So I think most of you know me, right? I've spoke to the group a couple of times. I've had the privilege to do that. I'm a productivity and leadership coach with about 30 years of business experience, which is scary to say that I could have 30 years of business experience. In my previous life, I was a pool secretary to chief operating officer of an insurance firm. When I hired a coach to help me in that new position is when I started pivoting, and it came to me that this wasn't a place that I thought I was going to retire, wasn't the place that I was going to end up retiring. So I ended up leaving and starting Powerful Purpose. It's been 3 years full-time, 5 years since it's been a little blip of a thought that I created. So I'm pretty proficient with time and task management, and that's what creates this perfect balance. Balance is an interesting word, right? Like everyone says, I want to have lifetime or create a work-life balance. And balance is really a thing that moves back and forth. And sometimes we're really focused on work, and sometimes we have to be focused on personal. But being able to shift between the two is what's really important. And doing it with confidence and releasing the guilt that I think some of us, especially women, carry when we start setting that balance of boundaries. So I've had the privilege of really helping over 100 women, hundreds of women actually at this point, from Vision Board and all the different workshops I've done over the past 3 years. So it's really been an amazing journey watching other women pivot the way that I had the ability to pivot in my life. So this is my family. I wear many hats. I show you this picture, right? Like I wear many hats, as most of us do, right? But when we ask ourselves, or if somebody asks you, who are you? What do you say? What do you say when somebody asks you who you are? Does anybody have an answer or a comment around that?
I think that for me, that's many answers.
Right.
Who am I? You know, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm an employee, Um, I'm a teacher.
All those different things, right? So,
Yes.
but understanding who I am as a woman is like as a woman, not as the hats that we wear. Isn't that interesting, right? Not as the hats that we wear. Um, it's really important to think about that, not just because of the pandemic but during a divorce, a job change, right? Losing a parent, losing a child. Big changes happen in our lives, and we all have a story, and anchoring that story with who we truly are. So this is my stepson, Sean. He's amazing. He's 23 years old, and he's a cybersecurity analyst for Dell. My daughter, Reagan, who's 13 from my previous marriage. My husband, who is my anchor, Michael. We've been married for 9 years. My mom and my dad. So these are the people that surround me and help me be who I am. Now, not my wife. I could say, you know, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm an author, I'm a radio show host, I'm a coach. You know, I could have all of these different titles, but who are we really, right? But who am I? So when I say who I am, it was interesting. I was at a mastermind conference in Springfield last fall at the MGM. There was 12 high-powered entrepreneurs brought into a room together. And one of the gentlemen, he was 6'3", comes up, I'm 5 feet tall. He comes up to me and he goes, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, who am I? I'm Pam, you know." No, who are you really? So it really started opening up my mind to this. I'm a woman, so who am I? I'm a woman of faith, right? I'm passionate about art. I love movement. I love striving for greatness. I love to cook. These are the things that I am, not the titles that I hold. Okay? So when we start thinking about that of who we are, this is the foundation to help us understand the navigating through the storm of what we need to fulfill ourselves to help us get through the storm, okay? And helps us to be better leaders in all of those titles that we carry. So thinking about that, who am I? All right? So before we get started, I always love to get grounded. If you're comfortable, I'd love for you to close your eyes. We're going to just take a few deep breaths and just to get started. So if you want to close your eyes, I invite you to do that and take a really big deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Take another one. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Okay, open your eyes. And just remember that our time together is truly for you, okay? I find that those 3 big deep breaths whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed or need to get centered around something, I don't know about you, but it just makes my shoulders just relax and just exhale out all of that negativity or stress or whatever it is that's surrounding ourselves at that particular time, okay? So as we get started, the next thing is how are you feeling? Like really, how are you feeling? Understanding is crucial in the processing. So the other day I was talking to my business coach now, and my business coach is a business coach. He's no fluff. There's no, "Oh, you know, how are you today?" It's like right to the point. "Okay, what are your Q3 numbers? What are your plans?" You know, like I started crying on the call with him. Started crying. I was like, oh my goodness. And I don't understand why I was crying because things were really good, right? Things are good. Business is good. Everyone's healthy. Everything was going on. But what ended up happening and understanding is that, and maybe you're feeling this too, is that I started understanding that I was grieving. He was like, you are grieving. It's okay to cry, right? It's okay. We're grieving for so many different things. We're grieving for the people losing their lives, right? We're grieving for people that are on the front lines. We're grieving for the activities that we couldn't do any longer, or grieving for the unknown, grieving for distance learning. And all of a sudden we become teachers that were not equipped to be teachers. Grieving for adjusting from working from home, finding your spaces, right? Finding your time. I have a client that took a call in her bathroom because it was her only space in the house that she was able to do that. Or another one in their car. There's so much that we're grieving about right now. Grieving about not being able to maybe worship the way we worship. It's like nothing we've ever experienced before. We've experienced before. Not that other generations haven't had their own, right? But it's nothing like we've experienced before. But, and I'm sure you understand this, but it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel uneasy. It's okay to wonder what's going on in our lives, right? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I tired all the time? You know, like all of these questions. Do you ask yourself these questions? Are you feeling these things? Are you giving yourself permission to work through them? Does anybody feel uneasy or feel like they're grieving about different things that we used to have and we don't have any longer? You could just raise your hand or nod if you're feeling that. Yeah. So understanding what the purpose is behind these feelings, right? And then identifying those circumstances to help you move through them is what's really important. We get very busy and we just get up in the morning and we just go and do whatever is told of us, basically, right? You need to get up and you need to eat breakfast because that's what you've always been told. You need to have a cup of coffee because that helps you wake up. You really should go for a walk because that's what your doctor tells you, right? Like everything is told to us. And when we don't stop and say, okay, it's told to us, but is it right for us is the key. Is it right for us? So asking our question is if this is right for us. All right. So if you don't know me, which most of you know my work, and you know how much I love aligning myself and others with words. They're so powerful, right? Power words are exactly what they sound like. They're words that ground you. I choose a power word every week. Because our brain has those two functions, to listen to what we tell it and to take action on it, it's so important to have those power words, or the affirmations are very powerful. And I'll go over some affirmations in a little bit. But that is truly anchors. This word can be whatever you need it to be, whatever you need it to be, okay? A word associated with maybe a non-negotiable you're trying to establish. My word this week is building. So that was all about building. I have some exciting things going on in the business, so I needed to focus on those things. It's a sense of commitment and accountability to ourselves. So if you were to choose a power word right now, what do you think it would be? You could say it out. You don't have to use the chat. There's different, ignite, focus, power, celebrate. There's a whole bunch of different words. What is a power word that anchors what you want to accomplish? This is a hard one. I have to tell you, when I'm working with my clients, they dislike this one so much. Yes, Susan.
Determined.
Love it. Determined. Beautiful. So how does that feel when you say that word?
I'm a very determined person. When I set my mind to something, I usually do it. So it just makes me feel empowered.
Awesome. Awesome. So the power word is great because at any time when the static comes in, because we know we all have so much static, right, coming at us, and it's hard to stay clear. Sometimes that power word is what triggers you back and say, no, I wanted to be determined. I don't want to be distracted. I want to be determined to set forward in what I want to accomplish. I love that word. Anybody else have a word they want to share?
I have a word. It doesn't really sound like it's a strong word, but I think it really can be, and it's what I need to focus on this week, is patience.
The beautiful word. That's, oh my goodness. I think we all could get a dose of patience. You could ask my 13-year-old about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great word. Patience. And that's the beauty of it. It doesn't always have to be like, right? It's what you're called to, what you're feeling at the time is what is so important. So that's a great reminder. Karen, did you have one that you wanted?
I was thinking focus.
Love it.
Focused, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's an excellent word. So I encourage you to really, when you go through, and I'll go through this a little bit, is really think of that power word that's going to ground you for the week. Okay? It could be the same one. I challenge my clients to, because they get a little, oh, I'm going to do focus again. Nothing, Karen. I'm going to do whatever again, right? No, let's, unless you truly need it because you haven't accomplished what you wanted to feel, it cannot be just a fallback. Okay. So it is something that I really feel very strongly about. So power words, another great way to help us navigate through a storm, any storm, this storm or any storm in our lives that we might be having. Brain dumping. Unloading your mind allows you to assess and structure your next steps and your feelings, right? This is part of my routine. Why is it part of my routine? It prevents chaos from taking over. I am one of those people. I'm a true entrepreneurial spirit where my brain does not stop and it continues to create constantly. I wake up saying to my husband, I was thinking, and he looks at me, goes, how are you thinking? You were just sleeping. And how are you thinking? I'm thinking because my brain does not stop, but what ends up happening is the brain dumping at least gives me some reprieve of releasing the stuff in my brain. So there's room for other stuff to come, but at least it doesn't get so crowded in there that I can't sleep, right? That's the tool. The brain dumping is a tool. I used to be a sticky note junkie, right? Post-it notes everywhere. I'd go in my car, they'd be on my steering wheel, they would right everywhere. Well, I stopped because, let's be honest, it tends to get quite messy, right? Like, and it's cluttered and it just adds too much of craziness, chaos. So I created this brain dumping for myself and my clients, and it's really helped because once we unload and we do this activity, I take about 10 minutes a week to brain dump. Okay. It's not only then, it may be a project I brain dump on, but my massive brain dumping is part of my planning for the week ahead. All right. So I'm not sure if you do you have specific times that you actually plan for your week, or do you just unroll your week based on what comes up? Yes. Yeah.
I typically, on Fridays, like in the late afternoon, go through my calendar for the next week
Yeah.
and do a little planning, make notes. I started doing this when I went back to work 10 years ago, that I pick out all my outfits for the week on
That's
Sunday night,
beautiful. Uh-huh.
hang them up. I even like, if, not during COVID, of course, but like I'll even hang a necklace with it, accessories and all that. So I feel like on Sunday night, I'm ready in terms of everything I want to wear is clean, pressed, blah, 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 and together. And because on Friday afternoon, I went through the whole week and did that planning calendar wise. Like it
Right.
makes me be able to sleep a little better on Sunday nights.
That's absolutely beautiful. Does anybody else do any kind of actual planning?
I do the exact same things Audrey do.
That's awesome.
Friday afternoon with the calendar, and then yes, Sunday with the clothes all lined up. And it's just easier to get up and go and not have that stress on Monday morning. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I like planning on Friday afternoon, and not a lot of people do planning on Monday morning, but your week is already started, right?
Right.
So planning on Friday afternoon really helps to understand what happened during the week and what adjustments you need to make the week ahead. And that's when you pick your next power word and you do all the focusing. So the brain dumping starts unloading, looking at your calendar, and then deciding what the week ahead is going to look like. I love that. I started doing meal planning on Sundays. So I have at least 3 meals during the week that are done. I have a great cookbook that I use. It's like 26 weeks. It's basically, you buy and it's the same protein 3 times during the week. So it's just prepared different ways 3 times in the week. And if you want that cookbook, I'll get that for you guys. It is fantastic. It's great. You do all your prep work on Sunday, and you are guaranteed to have at least 3 meals, healthy meals, ready for you. And with us, there's enough left over that my husband can eat them for lunches too. So it really feeds, and it's 1 protein. Like this week is chicken, so it's being prepared in 3 different ways. So
Great.
yeah, it's an awesome tool to use, and that happens on Sundays as meal planning.
I also do some meal prepping on Sundays too. I find that if I challenge myself to make 2 full dishes of whatever in our repertoire that everybody likes, but then I have to pick 1 thing each week that I've never made before.
That's different. Love that. Yeah.
So.
Right? And making those little different changes like that, it just almost gives you a sense of control, right? Like, look at me, I'm doing this. I'm doing something different. I'm not allowing all the circumstances to come in and, maybe eat unhealthy or whatever. So that's really important. That's a great part of the planning process. So clarity, right? Without clarity, there's confusion and uncertainty. Creating clarity. Think of all the times that you're not clear in what you ask for, and we don't get the results that we're looking for, right? Clarity matters. Communication matters. Understanding what we're all feeling different things and act differently towards them matters, right? Like meeting people where they are to understand will help understand the process of the next steps. Recently, I became a partner with DISC. I don't know if anybody's familiar with DISC communication. It's a tool based on a behavioral communication style. And I'm in the process of getting certified in the program, right? So it's a course that I'm taking to get certified. So I'm DISC means different things, and I'm an ID, which means I'm passionate but direct at the same time. And it just teaches you all the different styles. So you understand that somebody who's a strong D is a directive, that's how they communicate, right? And somebody that might be an S who's steady and compassionate might not understand that D. They might be like, what the heck? Why is he barking at me all the time? But that's just his communication style. So it's really fun. I thought it would be a great tool because I find it fascinating, right? But always my style of communication, I'm a passionate, hot-headed Italian. That's who I am, right? That's the thing. That's the way it is. But understanding my personality style has brought clarity in how I communicate with other people in my world, right? So knowing that, it's just a very cool tool. Has anybody ever done a DISC or a Myers-Briggs or any kind of person that you have, Audrey?
Yeah,
Right?
I've done Myers-Briggs, and I've also done, oh gosh, it just went out of my head. The emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, yeah. DISC does that. They have like 7 different profiles that you could do between leadership, work, team communication, EQ, like all of the different things. So because I really think it's interesting and important for us to understand how to clearly communicate to get what exactly we want in return, and not in a selfish way, right? It's helpful for both sides. So finding clarity around how you communicate and who you are and what you want will help navigate through this. So if I want, say, the pool to be really crystal clear, that's my expectation of it. If I don't set that expectation and clear with it, my husband's expectation of what the pool should look like might be different, right? And then there's frustration there because it's like, well, why doesn't he know the pool's supposed to be crystal clear and not a green shade of green, right? Like, so being clear helps with navigating through communication. So if you haven't done DISC before, take a look at it. It's pretty interesting tool. So the next part is boundaries. How many are good at setting boundaries? Good at it? Learning to say yes with confidence and not following it up with the guilt because we said yes or no to something, right? This is really the biggest saver, is setting our boundaries. See the very small space here, right? Between their space and your space. I would say, yeah, heck yes. I used to have a very hard time setting boundaries. I've gotten much better at it. But it takes a lot of work and time, especially during this reentry, right? Because it was difficult before to set the boundaries, but how difficult is it going to be now when all of a sudden you're maybe going back to the office and people want to see you more, and we got settled in. Isn't it amazing how we switched like that? Like one day we were having a family dinner on March 18th, and the next day, Monday, the state was closed down, right? It was like that, how quick that happened and how awkward it was. But now that we're getting back into it, what is it that that you really liked. Did you like things about the pandemic? Did you guys like anything about it?
I found I did very well working from home. You know, it was easy to get acclimated to do it once you got a schedule and
Mhm. Right, right. Anybody else have like the pandemic? I know it sounds crazy.
Well,
Sounds good.
I have not liked the pandemic, but the one thing, well, there's many things I think that became that I had clarity on during this pandemic, and it was relationships. I have such a greater appreciation of the relationships in my life, and I'm a very grateful person to begin with. Like, I feel like that's kind of where I start from each day. But this brought everything into such stronger, crystal clear clarity. The people in my life that really have the most meaning, and even what was right in front of me, like my husband, for most of this pandemic, it's been the two of us home and alone, and I just am so grateful for that, and just being able to spend that time with him, even if I'm working most of the time.
Mm-hmm. No, right, right. And that's what I thought too, is I felt the slowdown was absolutely awesome. Awesome, right? Not being pulled in many directions, not having to go out every night for some function, and just being able to be home, and have family nights and game nights, and the ability to bring all that back. So those are areas that I truly loved about this, and that I want to continue to be able to instill and set the boundaries around them and hold true to those boundaries. Okay. So boundaries is another thing. So we go back to the affirmations, right? Affirmations are the little things we could do daily to train our brain of our power. So these are some affirmations I came up with that I like to remind myself of. Does anybody have an affirmation that they may say to themselves? I know it's a little awkward at first when you go, I'm worth it to take back my life, right? But it's amazing when you say something over and over again, how it changes, how it starts changing your thoughts. So having affirmations to start saying. Go ahead.
I have one, Pam. My affirmation is I'm a strong, independent woman. And after I went through a very bad divorce over 15 years ago, and from that point on, that was my affirmation. And I think it helps me to get through my day.
Yes, it's so powerful. Thank you for sharing. It's true. It's very powerful when we find something that we could say, I am to. I am, and owning that. So if you don't have an affirmation, these are some affirmations that came to mind for me, that were kind of related towards this time frame of the pandemic, and re-entry into it. I don't hesitate because I want to move forward, right? Like, hesitation stalls our momentum in so many different ways. So learning how to hesitate healthy is really important, because it goes back to the boundaries. Hesitate before you say yes, but don't hesitate before you say yes to yourself to get up and go out for a walk, say, right? So learning where that hesitation needs to be, where that pause needs to be, and how you're going to handle that pause is truly powerful in owning your own life, your career, your business, or just becoming that leader. I often say all us women are leaders, right? We're leaders. And it doesn't mean that we're in a leadership role at work, but we're leaders of our lives. And so we have the power to be able to say yes or no and to make those changes if necessary. So we're coming to the wrap up because we have, our time is coming to an end. I want you all to remember, life is totally different now, right? The beginning and the end are just the destinations where we are. It's this journey in the middle that's really the sweet spot for us to remember. It's that dash, right? Between when we're born and when we die. It's that dash in between, that legacy that we want to lead that really makes a difference. The sweet resource is in understanding all of this is happening in your life. And it's you that is the resource to make this all happen. So really give yourself time and permission to be who you are and who you need to be. Because as I say here, I just say this, is that you rock. I love that. You rock. You're a rock star. And I really, it's been such a pleasure to be with you guys and to be in your space and taking the time, because I know you're all busy. And this is your pause. This is your reset. It's your ability to have it exactly the way that you want it to be. If you want to have any kind of complimentary strategy call to work through something, jump on my calendar. I'm available. Okay? I'm available to say, hey, Pam, I just want to think this through. There you go. Just jump on the calendar. We'll share that link as a follow-up for you guys. And for you guys coming, I want to give you a free gift. And the free gift is 6 steps to creating goals that stick. And it's actually a practical guide that'll help you go through the processes of creating goals that stick. Okay? And you could get that. I think Audrey will email the link.
Yes,
Okay.
we can share that.
Yeah, and if anybody wants it or jump on the calendar, please feel free. I hope you found this helpful during this time. It's nice to see everybody. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Well,
I'd be interested in your cookbook, Pam.
I will definitely share that. When we do that follow-up, I'll give you that. I'll
Okay.
put the cookbook name in there.
Thank you.
You'll love it.
Every month I say I'm going to do better at meal planning ahead, and I sometimes do 1 meal, but I never get to 2 or 3. So it'd be good to try.
And she does it so you can make it gluten-free, paleo. You could do any kind of, if you have allergies or sensitivities, or if you don't, you could go full force. She talks about the Instapot. So she uses all different methods. And what I love about it, she gives you a shopping list of every week of exactly what you need and what you should have in your pantry all the time as the staples. So it's an awesome, it's 26 weeks. It's beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll definitely share that full name with you. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Pam, I want to thank you for doing this. And I wanted to share that while you were talking this whole time, I was just writing down words that I connected with. And I started doing this whenever I've been on Zoom calls or in lectures. And I feel like it really helps me to take away after this ends the meaningful things that were being said. So I want to thank you because I filled an entire giant page.
My goodness, that fills my heart. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
Did you want to share 1 or 2 of them?
Well, so many. I mean, these were things that just sort of stuck out for me or just connected with me. With anchor, balance, re-entry, pivoting, mastermind, grieving, Like that was one I hadn't really thought about, but I have a direct example for me is on 4th of July, I was sitting at, we have a little summer cottage on the shoreline, and I was sitting there, and normally we have a huge family. So we have probably 40 to 50 people, which is just our immediate family. And we had to limit it to 10 people so that we could be social distanced. And I looked at my husband and I said, I just want to cry. And I felt guilty for saying that because I should have been thankful that we were able to be there with at least 10 people. But I just felt that loss. So, and it's silly, it's a social event, but it's just a sign of.
There's no silliness about that. And that's exactly what I wanted you to understand, is to give yourself that permission to feel. That is what's really important. We are grieving. I mean, we are. And that is that feeling. I find myself, like I said, crying on the phone with my business coach. Oh my gosh, it's just not me. Or I was in church on Sunday and I was crying, and it just, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. That's the biggest thing, is to remember it's okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think too is what, based on what Audrey was saying too, is you feel almost guilty and bad for your children because we're used to having a big 4th of July gathering, and like you want to make it right for them, but you can't, or you want to make it normal for them. And even though my kids are 13 and 17, it's still like you feel bad that they're missing out on these normal traditions, like, and it can't be more expansive than it is, It's like a guilt thing too.
It is a guilt thing.
Yeah.
But creating a pivot, right, of okay, this isn't the way we normally would do something. What is a great new tradition that we could create this year that we can look back on and take away? And then maybe that ends up having to be the norm, or maybe that ends up being the norm because people like it better. Like, so there's like just looking at it a little bit from like a different lens, and not so much being in what we're used to, but in with what's going on right now around us to create some new normalcy for us. And that's happening everywhere. That's happening in our personal lives, in our businesses. I mean, I do employee engagement workshops, and I had 16 scheduled this year and they all got canceled. So the pivot on that is okay. I could come back and I could design something that's virtually an experience that you might end up liking more than you did when it was in person, right? Or like with the 4th of July, what's a new thing that we could do that could change and make it more exciting for us? So it just gives us the ability to strip away, and then re-enter into it. It's definitely a different, challenging time for us right now, on so many levels, right?
Yeah.
But engaging in who you are first. Who are you really? I'd love to hear, once you guys give some thought around that, hear about that. Okay?
Yeah.
Beautiful. This is a pleasure, as always.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Sue and Kim and Karen, for being on the call. And
It was
Pam,
great.
this is just such a wonderful way to start our day, and maybe even think about our power word for the week, or just some words that bring some connection and thought.
Absolutely. Thank you. So well said. I appreciate all of you spending the time with me this morning, and have a dynamite day.
Thank you.
That's my word, dynamite.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much for being here.
It went black.
I know. I don't know what happened, what I did.
Oh.
Am I still here or no?
See you?
You're there.
But my screen isn't, huh? Okay.
Oh, but the screen is
Oh.
black. Yes. Oh,
Now
there
we're
you
all
are.
here.
I hit something, so I don't know.
And by the way, love the butterflies on the wallpaper.
Thank you. It's all about
I-
transformation.
Yep. I love a good theme. So yeah.
All my branding, you know, my branding.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a
All right. Great to
day.
see you all.
Thank you.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again.